Hey there everyone, Dirty H here and welcome back to episode 11 of City Skylines New Zealand. And as promised in this episode we are building a ski field, and it's definitely going to be more of a commercial style ski field. I had a comment from Bob suggesting that we build a sort of a club field, a smaller club field style, which I thought was great, but unfortunately I was already halfway through building this one, but I'll look to do that in future as well. I'm lucky enough to have snowboarded at a few different fields around New Zealand, and this field is definitely a mashup of all of them. The road up is based on Tūroa, and that's mainly because it really changes all the way up. It starts with really beautiful thick bush, and then it goes through like a sub-alpine environment, and then it starts getting into the snowy areas, and I thought it would be really fun to make those transitions. The likes of Grey Flame and Paudimo are also responsible for some amazing rocks on the workshop, and I've used those to help create a really realistic look as well here. So now that I've placed the road in, I can return back to the start and putting more trees in, and I've got to be careful here because I actually hit the tree limit. Now, I've never done that before. I know there's a mod that can take that away, but I'm already straining my computer to the max, and I'm really refraining from trying to get any more mods, but I think I'm going to have to succumb to this one because yeah, I've basically had to pinch trees from the edge of the map to be able to put these ones down, so eventually I am going to have to sort that. So for now I've just stuck the trees around the road area. I can't really put any more in at the moment, but hopefully I can come back and make this a bit bushier. So the next things I add are things like barriers on the outsides of the road, and as it comes out of the tree area and enters the sub-alpine environment, I've used the ore and changed it to a brown sort of a looking texture and used that on the ground here as well. And here was the right spot to put the chain bay as well, because the corners from here up get really steep. So I've also put that in here as well, with a few workers around and a couple of cars getting chains put on. So it's really starting to look cool now as we come up into the snow, and the first port of call up here is to put a car park in, and there's going to be a priority car park which is closer to the main entrance, and then there's going to be another car park down and off to the side that has a bit more of a walk. There's nothing too sophisticated about our car parks up our mountains. They're pretty much just gravel with a couple of lifties around telling you where to park, and basically just a coned off or a barriered off area where you've got to walk up to the main entrance through. The other things I put around this area are gabion fences just as retaining walls and barriers at the edge, and that's pretty much it. I do revisit this later on and install some real car parks here and there, but that's pretty much it for the car parks. I'm really stoked at how the gravel has mixed with the snow. I think it looks really realistic. It looks like the cars have sort of melted the snow where they've been driving, and yeah, I'm super stoked with that. As we get up towards the main entrance here, I've installed a roundabout, and this is for shuttles that'll be coming from the base of the mountain to this roundabout to drop off skiers and snowboarders. And because I want the ski field to function, I've used real buildings here as the main buildings, and the main building that you get with the resort pack on the Steam Workshop doesn't really go with the theme we're going for here in New Zealand, so I've pulled a lodge in front of it which is made out of timber and stone, which I think looks a bit more appropriate, and it also looks really nice too. I've also raised the buildings up a little bit and put some stairs going up to the front door, and this just helps make it easier to clear the snow away after a big fall. And the other area that I thought I'd include out the front here is just like a maintenance area with a chopper there if anyone gets injured, or maybe they can fly supplies in. So after I put a few piles of snow around here and there and a few rocks as retaining walls, I can carry on building the back of the main building. And what I've done here is I've decided to stick with the same facade or the same cladding materials that the lodge has. So it has this strip of stone around the base, and then the walls from about probably 4 meters up, returned to being timber, and it just so happens I had the perfect props to make that happen, and I made it harder for myself because I wanted to keep part of the original building open at the front as well. So I've sort of designed this 2-story lodge where I've raised the floor up to clear the building that we're trying to hide, and it's a very simple design. I hope there's no architects watching, they'll probably call me out, but this is the best I can do, and I'm really happy with how this looks. I think this looks fantastic, and this is the style lodge we would see here somewhere in New Zealand. The front of the building is going to be all glass, and it's going to look straight down and over the city. The views from here will be magnificent. And I also plan on putting a small learners or beginners field just in front of this as well. So you'll be able to sit in here having your nice warm coffee, looking out the glass over the city and watching some learner crash into a group of people and humiliate themselves. A lot of our beginners fields in New Zealand don't have a chairlift. They'll have what we call a magic carpet, which is basically just a moving conveyor belt that you can ski or snowboard on, stand up, and it just takes you up to the top and gently drops you off. They're really easy and good to learn on, and I've made a very simple version of one here. I would have loved to have had City Walk, City Walls moving conveyor belt props for this, but I don't, so I've just used basically concrete, and I've used the PO modules function to make one piece of it move back and forth to make it look like the conveyor belt's moving, and then I put some props on and use the modules function again and move the prop skiers up and down. It's quite a budget, no frills way of achieving animation, but it actually works really well and I'm happy with it. Last thing to do on the main entrance here is to build this outside area here with picnic tables where you can hang up your snowboard, go and grab a $15 stale pie and go and eat it outside in the sunshine. Woohoo! Now I have primary control of critical vehicle function. I place a road down here exactly where I want to put the first chairlift, and then I can use that to make sure it's nice and straight. I also do a fair bit of detailing around this bottom chairlift, like doing a lift line with various skiers in it, a couple of rope fences and some trail maps. I'm also using the real ski trails here that come in the ski resort pack, although I'm having a little bit of trouble with them that we'll dive into later on. I'm also setting this area up so that I can use those to return skiers back up the mountain as well. And I set out the top exactly the same so that I can run the ski trails between the 2 points, and this is vital because you have to set them up as a bus route, and the little skier he acts as a bus basically, which is quite ingenious really. And would you just look at that view from up here, it is just magnificent. I'm really enjoying the views that are coming with making this ski field. Just on another quick little note, I've captured some really great cinematics for the end of this episode, and just now quickly you can see me placing the trails down now, and there definitely wasn't too much of a plan with these trails. It was just snake them down and try and follow the terrain as much as possible. I also placed some lights along the main trails and a few snowmaking guns here and there as well. I couldn't find any snowboard jumps or rails or anything like that on the workshop, so I've used City Wall's white cube prop here and tried to make my own. I know they're not perfect, but I think they're okay. And here I'm marking out where I'm going to put a few rails with these fences, and then I spend a bit of time with PO putting those in, various obstacles for the snowboarders and skiers, and I think this adds another nice little touch to the park. New Zealand's got some world-class terrain parks, and it was only fitting that this was installed as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this chilly ski based episode. I really enjoyed building it, and I think it's partly because I go from downtown to rural and then up to this sort of thing, and it really keeps it fresh for me, so I hope you guys are enjoying that. Unfortunately, I will be working some big hours in the next 3 or 4 weeks for my job, so I'm going to try my best not to get behind in the episodes, but I do apologise if that happens. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and I will see you hopefully on episode 12. Take it easy.